Welcome to another strategy lesson, and today we're going to talk about some of the wild animals on the chessboard, bishops, and how you can use them, what is active bishop, what is useful bishop, and what is stalled pawn bishop. So let's start by taking a look at the first position which you see on the board right now. White has two active bishops here. Bishop on c4, which is eyeing on a2, f7 diagonal, and also bishop on c1, which is basically working on this c1 h6 diagonal. So, and here it's actually, black to move, and they play c5. And, for most amateurs, it's actually, unclear why this move might be bad. Look at this bishop on e7. It is awful. Because, look, your bishop on the dark square, you should probably play opposite, like d5, to make it open. Not necessarily d5 here, because it's actually bad as well. But c5, it is awful. And guess what white did play here? They played d5. So some amateurs played the game and they just blocked their own bishops. But unfortunately for black, they're a lot worse here. White have very good center, d5, e4, while black are just passively stuck in the back ranks. The second position is again taken from one of the Blitz games online, and look at the bishop on e2. It's not active yet, and this position is a great example of how, what you can do in order to activate certain pieces. So I gave you a hint. You gotta activate your bishop on e2. How you can do it? We want our bishop to be on c4 j8 diagonal, and here of course the best move is to play c5, which is of course a great move, because after d takes c5, bishop c4, it's very unclear to understand what black will do in order to create any chances for themselves. Actually, white played rook d7 first, which is the better move, because we attacking here, attacking on b7, queen has to go back, and now bishop c4, setting up this strong pin. And of course the position is just lost. Black tried to protect on b7, but after queen f6, b5, bishop e6, black are going into some sort of zugzwang, and of course they're going to lose a game. This position demonstrates the power of bishop on b1 h7 diagonal, and here nothing is safe for black, as they can't promote any of those pawns, because this bishop is basically covering everything, and their pawn promotes first to queen, and white will checkmate black's king on h8. Another great example, common pattern, common idea, our bishop on d3. This position probably occurred from some sort of, Sicilian Smith-Morra. So bishop on d3, queen on e2, and of course, in this types of position, queen f4, setting up this battery on this diagonal. f5 takes, rook f6, queen, rook e1, knight a5, attacking the queen, queen h7, king f7, and boom! Another bishop is activated. The idea is that after h takes, knight g5, king a8, knight e6, white are just continuing destroying black, and after basically black tried queen g8, and after bishop f6, of course their position is lost. They play bishop e4, they're up in exchange, and they will win the game. The following example is from the game between Andrei Volokitin and Yannick Pelletier. e6, d4, knight c3, they got Sicilian defense on the board, takes, and as you can see, so this bishop on e3 is pointing towards this diagonal and this diagonal, but as you can see, I highlighted this as well. Dark square diagonal is completely weakened, and Andrei Volokitin goes for bishop c1, bishop a3, and trying to take some, advantage. Bishop a3, rook a8, bishop b5, a6, bishop d6, queen a7, and he plays castle here and doesn't even worries about those pawns advancing on queen side. rook c8, g4, rook c6, g5, knight h5, bishop e5, and position slowly collapsed as here, French Grandmaster admitted his loss. Another very interesting position, and again, you gotta look at the bishops. Here, bishop on d3 is pointing towards this, and this bishop on d7 is looking kinda useless, but at the same time, it protects crucial pawn on e6, and in a way, it actually prevents two rooks from sliding on this e-file. So knight e5, rook e5, and it might look that white, have huge advantage, but in reality, it isn't. So the pawn is actually protected, because let's say queen d4, bishop h7, white win the queen. That didn't happen, queen f4, trying to trade. And here, finally, e5 was played, sacrificing the pawn, but also opening up this bishop. So, in just a minute, bishop on d7, from ugly, useless piece of something, became beautiful, insanely strong bishop on d7, and pointing towards h3 pawn takes, queen h3, king g1, d4, rook e4, and the game actually ended in a draw after black started free-fall repetition. The next position is what is referred to as tall pawn. This bishop is definitely looking like a pawn, and here it's black to play and win the play c3. They created pass pawn on a-file, and white can't do anything to stop black's king to get to basically f on g2 and getting this bishop on h2. So I'll just show you real quick what happened in the game. This and f2 pawn falls and black win the game. Opposite colored bishops principle, and as some of you know, in some positions it's actually a draw. Here white have 1, 2, 3, 4 bishops of the same color. It's just like to educate you. This position would likely not occur in the game, but if it's someone like Hikaru, he could actually do that. So here king s6, bishop d1, king f7, bishop h5, and this position is actually a draw, but Stockfish doesn't understand it because it shows +7 advantage for white. But unfortunately, this position is not winning because basically, black will go back and forth. This king, if it ever goes here, black will just continue going on this diagonal. And unfortunately, no of this bishop, if the color was changed for one of them, they would actually be winning because they can give a check. But unfortunately, those dark squared bishops can get to this king on c6, and it is just a draw. But in the following position, white can actually win. Bishop f5, and now interesting d5 check, because after it takes e6, this pawn is so strong that it is promoting itself. d4, king f7, d3, e7, bishop d7, bishop f4, stopping the pawn and promoting the next move and winning the game. Another very interesting example, white are up 2 pawns. Rooks are still on the board, and here, if we get the rooks off the board and it's black to move, it's actually a draw, which I'll show you in the next position. g6, g4, this, f5, takes, and slowly, white are getting into black's position, and they're winning the game because rook h7 checkmate is almost unstoppable. But if we get rid of the rooks and play king f8, f5, king f7, white are not able to make any progress. This pawn and this bishop stop this, and of course white are not able to create too many threats on this side, and it is just a draw. It is what it is. Bishops are the demons of the diagonals. I'll see you in the next episodes. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.